Today I'm here to talk to you guys about innovation through science fiction. So I believe most of you have watched science fiction, or at least tried to. Basically, a lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of science fiction back in the 80s, 70s, back in the 1900s, essentially has come to basically change our culture in a sense that we didn't expect. It has caused a lot of different technological advancements that we may not recognize, and that is what I want to show you here today. So I wanted to start off very simple. I was going to start with some Star Trek. So we all know the communicator from the 1963 Star Trek show, the original series. So they used this a lot, and eventually, about a decade later, they invented the telephone in '79. And then later on in '07, we learned now what we have today, the iPhone. It's nice. It helps us connect with people around the world, and it lets us do things that we never thought possible were in, say, the 80s. So, and another figure. So, a lot of people don't realize this, but in the show, Geordi LaForge was blind. He wore a visor that let him pick up electromagnetic pulses that allowed him to basically see what we saw in a different perspective. And we may not have that technology yet, but we actually have come up with glasses that help people that have colorblind. And they basically reverse their colorblindness to see color in the way that average people see color. This is from the show Stargate. This was a newer show, actually, but it's a little hard to see because the pixels. Railguns were a myth way beyond us until recently, the Navy, this century has created the first electromagnetic railgun. It is still in testing, but it has come a long way since what we first imagined it could be. Now going on to some video games. We have the Mass Effect series. So along the blue lasers, as you can see, we've always said, oh, sci-fi, lasers, pew pew. You know, it was a myth, it was a legend, and then Navy released some cool science stuff with the laser technology that they invented in 2011 and showed us in 2012. And currently it saves so much money that it's a new cost-effective way of waging war, though we don't like to wage war very often. More gaming stuff. So in the Star Trek series, they also had the holodeck. The holodeck was a way of basically having shore leave in a close and confined space. It used replicated matter and force fields. Again, not there just quite yet. So instead we make do with our VR technology. It allows us to interact in a virtual reality that doesn't exist, but it appears to exist in our imagination. And then there was the movie Interstellar that came out. Brilliant movie, would recommend it. It has a lot of science and technical stuff that I would recommend. Basically, black holes were a theory in science, and they weren't exactly proven until recently when they discovered gravity waves in the good old USA. Basically, this proved a lot of physics theories, and it proved a lot of theories that we didn't think could exist or might exist until after the discovery of gravity waves. Now I'm going to move on to some quantum physics with antimatter. So the reason it's not a picture of antimatter is because you can't see it or else it'd destroy everything you'd see. It doesn't work out that well. So antimatter is a whole sense of, basically, it's the opposite of matter. It counteracts it, it's full of antiprotons, antineutrons, antielectrons. Basically, they don't go well together, and they make a lot of energy, and they make a lot of explosions. They don't mix well, is what I'm basically trying to go with. So, with the particle accelerators that are around the world, which is about 271 if I'm not mistaken, we basically created small quantities of antimatter, but not to the extent of what is believed to be the universe, which is the exact same amount as matter, which also doesn't make sense because if that was the case, everything would be destroyed at once. But we're still here, so that's a positive. So now I'm going to move on to one of the bigger theories, is warp theory. Warp theory is a technology of the future and way beyond us. So sorry guys. So what warp theory is basically the binding of space and time in a sense. It'll shrink the size of space in front of you and expand behind you, moving you through a vast amount of speed that is unprecedented to light speed. That is why it's a huge technology that NASA has been looking at a lot. They've they've kind of wanted to strive for this goal. They really wanted to see what this could lead to. So they've made an equation that could discover warp theory. The problem is the energy they need hasn't been discovered, or it may not even exist. So what I'm basically coming at here is, even though we may not recognize it, through the shows we watch and the culture we see, we learn problems that we may not expect and want to solve. And through science fiction, we learn ideas and creative ways to fix these ideas and basically allow us to move on. And that is why in MET we are so lucky to be a part of this, because then we get to basically put our creative minds that we've used through all our childhood to help solve the problems of the world. Thank you.